Happy Wednesday, firsties. We took yesterday off to just practice some independent math and to catch up on our cards for Mr. D. And then there was a lead video for you to do on Flipgrid to thank Officer Hager for all the awesome stuff he taught us this year in first grade for safety. And then you also had another special guest assignment with Mrs. Schneider on Flipgrid for the night the blocks came out. So we're going to start by reviewing your math for Monday and Tuesday. So if you want to get your math book and you're going to look at page 711, we're going to go over page 711 together because that was your assignment. And then page 712 was your Monday math challenge that we'll check over. And then for Tuesday, which was yesterday, you did page 713 all by yourself and page 714 all by yourself to practice some more independent work. So we're going to check all this over and then we're going to work with our clock to do some time telling. So let's start with page 711. And again, it told us we had to draw the hour and the minute hands to show the time. And remember that minute hand is the longer hand. And you want to think about that there's more minutes in the clock than there are hours. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So since there's more minutes, the minute hand is longer. And since there's only 1 hour and there's 12 of them around the clock, that's the shorter hand. So even though an hour seems longer in time, think there's more minutes, so the minute hand is longer, and there's less hours, so the hour hand is shorter. All right, so for number 4, it asks us to show 10 o'clock. I put my minute hand on the 12 because when my minute hand's on the 12, it says o'clock. And my hour hand was on the 10, so that means 10 o'clock. For 2 o'clock, my minute hand went on the 12, and my hour hand went on the 2, and that shows 2 o'clock. For 11 o'clock, my minute hand went on the 12, and my hour hand went on the 11 to show 11 o'clock. For 12 o'clock, both hands, the minute hand, the longer hand's on the 12 to show o'clock, and the hour hand, the shorter hand's on the 12 to show it's 12 o'clock, to show that that's the hour. For 6 o'clock, my minute hand was on the 12 for o'clock, and the hour hand was on the 6. For 1 o'clock, minute hand on the 12 for the o'clock, and the shorter hour hand on the 1. 5 o'clock, same thing. Minute hand on the 12, hour hand on the 5 o'clock. Number 11, minute hand on the 12, hour hand on the 8 for 8 o'clock. Now, here was a question that they asked you to think about a time, show it, and draw it. So it says write a time, draw the hour and minute hands to show the time, draw a picture to show an activity you do at that time. So for my minute hand, I put it on the 12, which would mean o'clock, and for my hour hand, I put it on the 9 for 9 o'clock. And I drew that at 9 o'clock, I go to bed to go to sleep. Isabel's saying that's not true, but in first grade, you should probably be going to sleep around 9 o'clock. So pretend I'm in first grade, and that's what I'm doing. All right, so let's flip this page over like a pancake, and let's look at our math challenge from Monday. This says Sarah wakes up at 7 o'clock. Draw the hands on the clock to show 7 o'clock. Again, when I show o'clock, the long minute hand's on the 12 and the shorter hand's on the hour. So 12 and 7 for 7 o'clock. This says each string on a guitar makes a different sound when it vibrates. Joe starts tuning his guitar at 9 o'clock. It takes him 1 hour to finish. What time does he finish? Now look at my clock here. I have a clock to show you. And I'm going to show you on this clock. I got to get it the right way first. But I'm going to show you on this clock 9 o'clock. All right, and I put a minute on this for this long hand, because that's my minute hand, and my hour hand's on the 9. So this says 9 o'clock, and it says it takes 1 hour. So it's just like counting by ones. So after 9, if I was counting on, I would say 10. So 1 hour after 9 o'clock, I'm going to move my minute hand all the way to go back to 12 for o'clock, would be 10 o'clock. So who is it? Joe? Joe was finished at 10 o'clock. All right, Karen starts playing soccer 1 hour after 5 o'clock. Draw the hour and minute hands on the clock to show what time Karen starts playing soccer. Now, I thought in my head, I'm going to count on, right? So 4, 5, 6, because it says she started an hour after 5 o'clock. So let me show you again on my clock. I'm going to speed it up, because this is the only way I can make it go, otherwise it breaks. And this is 5 o'clock. And it says she started 1 hour after. So after 5 comes 6. So I go around 1 time, and now it's 6 o'clock. And then it says, write a sentence about an activity you might do at that time. So I showed 6 o'clock with the long minute hand on the 12 and the shorter hour hand on the 6. And something I might do at 6 o'clock, I put at 6 o'clock, I eat dinner. So it could be dinner time at 6 o'clock at your house. All right, now let's look at this one. It says, Bill likes to read after 3 o'clock and before 5 o'clock. So I wrote 3, 4, and 5, okay? Which clock shows the time Bill might read? Well, it says he likes to read before 5 o'clock, and then he likes read after 3 o'clock. So it can't be the clock that says 3 o'clock, so I crossed that out. It can't say the clock that says 5 o'clock, so I crossed that out. So I figured it had to be 4 o'clock. So I chose my 4 o'clock clock, which the minute hand's on the 12 and the hour hand's on the 4 to show 4 o'clock. And this one over here said 9 o'clock, so that was wrong. All right, now go ahead and open up your book to page 713 and 714, and we're going to use our clock right here to figure out some of these times. So this says hour hand and minute hand, and we're trying to show 8 o'clock. So if I want to show 8 o'clock, it's going to look like this. My shorter hand's on the 8, my longer minute hand's on the 12, and I have 8 o'clock. This one is telling me 1 o'clock. I know that. Again, I'm going to go really quick around my clock. Minute hand's always on the 12 to say o'clock. Hour hand's on the 1, minute hand's on the 12. I have 1 o'clock. This one, it showed the 9 and the 12. So let's go around the clock again. To make the hour be 9, my shorthand, the red one on my big clock, has to be on the 9. And the longer hand, the minute hand, needs to be on the 12. So that's 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock. Flip this one over like a pancake. I have to make 10 o'clock. All right. Where does my hour hand go? Short hand on the 10, long hand on the 12. 10 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Same thing. I'm going to keep moving till my hour hand, that short hand's on the 2, and my long hand's on the 12, because this says o'clock. Then I'm going to make 3 o'clock. That's 1 more hour away. 3 and 12 for 3 o'clock. Then I have to go ahead and make 9 o'clock. Make my hour hand go all the way to the 9. Minute hand on the 12 to say o'clock for the hour, 9 o'clock. Then I can go this way. I didn't think I could. I'm going to go backwards a little bit in time, and I'm going to make 6 o'clock. Hour hand on the 6, minute hand on the 12. Let's look at number 10. Write a good time for eating lunch. Then draw an hour hand and a minute hand to show the time. And I said 11 o'clock because in school we usually go to lunch at 10:30, but we go on the playground first for recess. So it's probably around 11 o'clock when you get inside to eat lunch. So that means my hour hand, the shorter hand, will go on the 11 because there's less hours, there's more minutes, right? And my minute hand on the 12. So this is 11 o'clock. Now let's look at number 11. Every Saturday, Rachel wakes up after 6 o'clock and before 9 o'clock. Remember I said hours are like counting on, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I wrote 6, 7, 8, and 9, okay, to help me out. Which tells the time Rachel might wake up every Saturday. Well, we know she wakes up after 6 and we know she wakes up before 9. So I crossed those out. So that gave me my choices that she could wake up at either 7 o'clock. I have 2, 4, 5, and 8. No, not 7 o'clock. She's still a little sleepy, but she can wake up at 8 o'clock and still be up after 6, but before 9. So 8 o'clock should have been your answer there. Again, just to remember with our clocks, when we tell time to the hour, the minute hand, which is the long hand, goes on the 12. And when it's on the 12, we say o'clock. And the shorter hand, the hour hand, goes on the number of the hour. So if I was going to watch a show in an hour from 8 o'clock, I would watch that show at 9 o'clock. And if I decided at 1 o'clock I wanted to take Sawyer for a walk, it would look like this. Hour hand on the 1, minute hand on the 12. 12 says o'clock. 1 o'clock. All right? So that's how we tell time to the hour. Remember, the longer hand is the minute hand. Minute. Longer hand, longer word, more minutes because there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Hour hand, shorter word, only 12 hours on the clock to help you keep that straight. So we'll see you tomorrow and we'll do some more time telling. Bye, firsties.